Hey, y'all, what's happening? Grace and peace. Happy Lord's Day to you all. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. So, you know what we're about to do. We're going to just do a little bit of recap on this Sunday, this Lord's Day evening. Just kind of catching up, checking the traps on what's been happening in these YouTube news streets, and kind of give us a forecast of what we should expect moving forward into this new week. So, grace and peace to you all. Thank you so much for stopping by on this evening. I appreciate all of y'all. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to all the members. Thank you to all of the members of the channel. I really, really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for taking the time not only to become members, but to continue to engage with your members only content, whether that be a community post, a video, or of course, our members only live streams on Thursday. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hopefully, you're finding extra value in it. And let me know in the Discord what else I can do, what else I can add to make it just that much more beneficial and worth your time. I appreciate you. So, all right, there's been a lot going on in these streets. Wow. The last couple of days, let's just say, let's be honest, the last part of 2024 is truly going to end on a high note, to say the very least. Whether we're coming off of the Trump victory in the election, whether or not we see this total repudiation of a lot of the leftist speaking points and the such like that. We're watching the total autopsy of the Kamala Harris election campaign bid. My goodness, in the morning, we got a lot to talk about in that regard. That was, man, that's a lot. And of course, we got the YSL trial. We got the Lincoln Riley trial going on here in Georgia as well. We got a lot happening, but I really, really want to get through some of this. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's tapped in. Thank you so much to everybody who's not only tapped in today, but maybe sent me an email, maybe sent me a message, a direct message, whatnot about some content. I want to talk about something that a lot of content creators have discussed, and I want to maybe approach it a different way. And it is the Department of Justice's review of the infamous Fulton County Jail. And it was exactly what we thought it would be. It was exactly 100% in 4K, because there's literally pictures in that report. It's like 97 pages long. There was a lot of just like complete and utter foolishness in there, and it was bad to read. It was hard to read and it's such like that. Shout out to great content creators like Kat Not Williams. Shout out to other content creators who went through the whole report or gave a good summary of the report and such like that. I'll probably drop a couple of those videos down in the description, because I'm not going to go through that whole report again, because it was pretty condemning, let's just say the truth. What I want to do is I'm going to actually look at and ask the Fulton County Sheriff what he thinks about it. So the Fulton County Sheriff, Sheriff Pat Labat, recently responded to this report and did a little discussion about it, if you will, to the Fulton County Commissioner. And I think it was really interesting. So I want to bring it in a moment as soon as okay, I got it here. Cool. All right, let me real quick drop this out of the way. All right. And I want to talk about this. And I just want to give you, especially if you've taken the time to listen to Sheriff Labat and you've heard what he said about it, all that kind of jazz like that. I'm sorry if you've heard the report, the review from the Department of Justice. Now I want you to hear what Sheriff Labat had to say about it, because I think it's interesting to give you a balanced review of it. And I do think that's interesting. So let's go ahead and pull this in. It is a little lengthy. I'm going to try to speed it up a little taste as well. Let's give it a little bit of speed there, Jason. I think that'll work. Let's see how it goes. Let's go. I should have edited this. I should have, Jason. Shout out to you, Jason. You should have cut this and got this started earlier. Sorry about that. Let's go. All right. So what we're going to see here is Pat Labat and Rob Pitts. Rob Pitts is an interesting fellow, to say the least. But this is Sheriff Labat in the blue suit, and we're going to hear what he has to say about this Department of Justice.
First of all, good evening, good afternoon. I want to thank Chairman Pitts and his team with respect to multiple conversations we've had about what certainly moving forward after the DOJ. And we've been anticipating the DOJ report, and we are certainly in a space now that we are happy that it has come out. It has right now in it 109 different remedial opportunities for us as we continue. I do want to point out that if you look at it in its depth, it is a point in time study, if you will. And a lot of the things we have worked with the board over the past few months to accomplish, and want to highlight some of those. We look at, when I took office as sheriff, we had a population of 3,700 individuals, 600 of them sleeping on the floor. We work with the Board of Commissioners to develop an outsourcing plan. Right now, the population has decreased, ultimately because we have had and formed an inmate advocacy unit, a unit that has gone through and combed through over 30,000 records, work with the DA's office, work with the public defender's office, work with the judges on consent decrees, and release nearly 1,400 people that were considered nonviolent. We also take a look at our accreditation efforts, both with respect.
Okay, I'm not trying to be petty, not trying to pick. Shout out to Sheriff Labatt if he feels like he's making progress. But I'm always leery, and this is on all sides, myself included, whenever somebody gives a number and then never gives like a resolution number. He said there was 3,700 people sleeping on 3,700 people in the Fulton County Jail. 600 of them sleep on the floor. So that means that they're over complement by 600. So it'd be 3,100 people is the complement. So when he says 1,400 people were released, I'm kind of wondering, well, are you trying to tell me, am I to believe then that you went from 3,700 to 2,300 people? Is that what I'm to believe? Now, I'm not saying that that's not true, not saying that that's not right even. I'm only asking, like, when you don't give numbers like that, or you give numbers without when you give secondary numbers and such like that, it does seem weird to me. Like, why are you not giving all the numbers? So anyway, that's just something I've noticed. I hate when people do it. I hate when I do it. So let's give him a room. Let's spread it out. Let's go, sir.
To NCCHC, the health accreditation, which we have since attained. We look at some of our daily accomplishments. We have, much as the DOJ report suggests, we have ongoing conversations daily with our command staff in terms of what it looks like for us to continue to move forward after each incident. Use of force, reporting, we have revamped that process, and we've revamped some training as we have gone along over the last few months. So we're committed to continue to work with the Bureau of Justice Assistance Program, as well as the National Institute of Corrections when it comes to what going through some of these remedial efforts look like. And I would suggest to you, certainly with the board's collaboration, we have been able to do some things both structurally to the building that ultimately the chairman will cover, as well as programmatically in terms of what it looks like for us to hire, retain, and really focus on a better sheriff's office. So I'll turn the mic over to the chairman, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff, and good afternoon, everyone. I concur with the sheriff. We've come a long ways in really a short period of time, and we have a few steps yet to go. But I'm encouraged about where we are. I was eagerly, and we as a board, eagerly awaiting the report from the Department of Justice, which we received. I've not had a chance to read it in its entirety yet, but we'll do so. But what I understand, it's pretty comprehensive. But we've made a lot of changes and adjustments so far, although I will admit that we have things that we need to accomplish going forward, working with the sheriff. So I think that today is a time of us looking forward and not backwards. How do we accomplish some of the things that have been that were pointed out in the study? But I'm in the process now reviewing the detailed report that was issued, and we look forward to working with the Department of Justice as we move forward, but more importantly, working with our sheriff to make sure that we abide by what's in the report and anything that may be forthcoming. We share the concerns that were outlined, and we're going to be working jointly, cooperatively to address them. We've already begun working on several things, including our jail blitz plan, which is in force now, making considerable progress there, where we've identified issues in 9 of our 11 housing units, and they should be 9 of 11 rather should be finished and completed by the end of the year. The board has also approved spending up to about $300 million to fully address the facility needs. In our meeting on Wednesday, as a matter of fact, the hope is to name a program or project manager for the team to assess all of the needs that they can identify. So I'm excited about where we are and believe that we're headed in the right direction. I've said all along that we will have to comply with whatever the Justice Department recommends, and that's what we're in the process of doing now. So thank you all for being with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Sheriff. We can take a few questions at this time.
Hi there, Eric Perry with Fox 5. You guys seem positive and optimistic, but to be honest, the tone this morning was really damning from the Department of Justice. How serious is this? And were you guys already making plans and making changes before now? Or because earlier this morning, it seems like no changes have been made?
Well, I view that a little differently. If you look at what was said this morning, the tone and tenor was, none of this is new. This is decade-old problems, some that predate certainly the chairman and I relationship, but ultimately it also said, and it was also pointed out very, very poignantly, these are fixable opportunities. And so that's what our plan is as we get ready to move forward, is to be able to fix each one of these opportunities and move forward.
Sheriff, the DOJ said that some of the violence stems from the fact that, or stems from a lack of an adequate classification system that results in really violent inmates being housed with more vulnerable inmates. Do you have any response to that? And is that something you're trying to address?
So we are addressing that. I have said quite loudly that we will not be able to just simply throw staffing at this. We're going to have to embrace technology, and we're working with our IT department to do just that. There are classification systems that are a little more robust, and we are presenting those as we get ready to move toward the new budget cycle as well.
I just interviewed Andrea Young with the ACLU, and she believes that a big thing that could help with this, I know y'all have talked about, there's just not enough space for all of the inmates, and a big issue she saw was the fact that a lot of people in there can't afford to bond out, and a lot of people in there might not necessarily be in there because of a concern of violence or a concern of being a danger to society. Do y'all feel that maybe there is a systematic change that needs to be in place for the people who do end up in the jail to begin with? So the filtering system of who is jailed in the Fulton County Jail versus just everyone in jail, and changing how the jail functions.
Well, we don't have the luxury of predicting who is brought to the facility. You look at what some of the conversations had around misdemeanor versus felonies, et cetera. And so we have less than 200 felons there. And ultimately, most of those are domestic violence related. And so we don't have the luxury of saying who comes and goes, but what we do with it through the inmate advocacy unit.
Wait, did he just say there's only, wait, hold on, back that up, Jason. Did he just say there's only 200 felons in the Fulton County Jail? Hold on. Wait. Did he say that? I think he just said that there's 200 felons. So the rest of the people in Fulton County Jail are misdemeanor cases. Hold on, let me hear that again. Hold on.
Jail versus, just everyone in jail, and changing how the jail functions.
Well, we don't have the luxury of predicting who is brought to the facility. You look at what some of the conversations had around misdemeanor versus felonies, et cetera. And so we have less than 200 felons there.
Less than 200 felons in the Fulton County Jail. So everybody else there are misdemeanors. 200, so let's say, what did he say, 3,100 people at the beginning? No, he said 37. There was 3,700 people in the jail altogether. 600 were sleeping on mats. Hold on. We need a serious come to Jesus. If you're going to tell me that there's only 200 felons in the Fulton County Jail, I have no reason to believe that you're lying. So that means that the other ones are all misdemeanors? Something has to be done. That's crazy.
And ultimately, most of those are domestic violence related. And so we don't have the luxury of saying who comes and goes, but what we do with it through the inmate advocacy unit is really pull. I thought I said less than 200 misdemeanors. All right, I want to make sure I'm clear. So less than 200 misdemeanors, the rest are felons. But those,
okay. Y'all, okay. Thank you, Sheriff Labat. Thank you. Okay. Okay, that's so much better. I hate to say it's better, but it's so much better. Okay, there we go. That makes so much more sense. So there's 200 misdemeanors in the Fulton County Jail. Got you. Okay. All right. That makes more sense. Praise God. Goodness gracious.
are domestic violence related. And so to that extent, we work with the DA's office, we work with the public defender's office to see whom we can really get out of jail if it is applicable. But going through, and I mentioned our inmate advocacy unit, there are times when we find somebody that has a bond that has dwindled down to less than $1,000, $500, $10, or whatever it may look like, and then we get them out of jail. But we can't just let them go. We try and connect them with their families. And that's why it's important to have such programs. And we've invited the ACLU and a number of different community-based organizations in to really help not only see that, but to see what they have to offer as well.
Last question.
Is there still a push from the sheriff to build a new jail? A lot of the things inside of that report was for structural. They cited some of the inmates going between the walls and darkened alleyways and things like that. Is there still a push? Are you still pushing for a new jail?
So it's a great question. And one thing that we have to recognize is that we are going to work with the facility we have. The Board of Commissioners has approved, as you heard Chairman say, up to $300 million in renovations. You have to understand that facility was built to warehouse people. And the first thing we have to do is change the culture of how we get people processed through courts, et cetera. Because can you imagine if we had 1,000 less people even than we had today? And so ultimately, we have to make sure we focus on adjudication. Specifically, we have to have a replacement facility at some point in the future. And that is at the will of the board and the appetite there. But ultimately, a $300 million renovation is a huge step forward.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate you.
All right. So shout out to Sheriff Labatt. I appreciate him and Mr. Pitts attempting to explain and give a little bit of context to what's been going on there at the Fulton County Jail. What y'all think, man? I agree, man. There's some problems in the system, and I think it's multi-layered. It's layered problems. It's not just with the sheriff. It's not just with the building. It's not just with the DA's office. There's a lot of problems that I think people need to come together and admit, like, yo, but at the issue that I think we'll see, and I'm going to probably mention this a lot throughout today, is there's not a lot of accountability. There's not a lot of people saying, I take ownership for this problem and I am not doing my job properly. I've dropped the ball. I am not carrying through like I should. Now, there's a lot of people at fault. I see a lot of comments about the DA's office. I agree with the police problem. I believe with the sheriff problem, and of course the facilities, and of course the community. I mean, everybody plays a role in how this situation plays out. There's a lot of things and in my opinion, there's a lot of possible solutions that can resolve this issue. There's a lot of small issues. Small solutions that can create a large fixable solution that will really fix it. But people have to admit that they are part of the problem. And you can't just say, oh, it's just the DA's office, or, oh, it's just Sheriff Labatt's office, or it's just the fact that the building is, I don't quote me on this, it might be 40 years old. It might be, I gotta look that up. How old is the Rice Street? How old is Fulton County Jail? It's old, okay? And I think there's a lot that could go into that, and a lot, in my opinion, that could go into resolving the issue. Let me just see real quick. The Fulton County Jail was built in 1989, a number. All right. And its population, its complement is 3,000 people. That's how many people it's supposed to be able to hold, 3,000. So everything above that, whether it be 1 or 100 or 1,000, is over complement. That's crazy. That is crazy. So it was built in 1989. So it's better than, 35 years old. It probably needs a good, but the funny thing is, a new facility, they were teasing the number of $1 billion. So if the Fulton County Commission is going to give $300 million in order to renovate Rice Street or make renovation changes, which I'm sure if you saw the DOJ report, there's a lot of renovate. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of Home Depot trips going on over there for sure. But I'm just wondering, would it be better spent, better used? Merciful goodness gracious. What doth thou want? What do you need?
Hello.
Hi. How may I help you?
I've graced you with my presence.
You have graced me with your presence. Why?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Anybody with daughters, you know what I'll be going through. Y'all pray for your boy. pray for me. Man, my kids are crazy. She said she was going to call in tonight. I need to ask her. She wanted to talk about, so big girl wanted to go on a rant and have a conversation about uh, race in entertainment. Uh, I've had my discussion about this topic, but I'm going to see if I'm going to text her, see if she wants to come back on or not. She's crazy, man. My kids, we'll say that for the end of the night for sure. But back to my point, that Rice Street has a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems because, I mean, what we're dealing with is we're dealing with sinful humans, and you can't remediate humans because you can't with laws and restrictions, because there's laws and restrictions that got them in jail in the first place. So there's a problem there. And I think okay, there's a problem there already. And I think there needs to be, again, a comprehensive, robust, full-orbed, everybody's taking a level of accountability and responsibility and say, hey, you can count on me to do this part of this task, or you can count on us to complete this chore, whatnot like that. Because at the end of the day, there's a large problem. And it's not just the bot, it's not just Fonnie Willis, it's not just, again, the facility and whatnot like that. It's a lot of problems. Now, I do think they need to have a conversation about that 300 million, because that's a third of the price of renovate. Not You're spending a third of what it would take to replace the building on renovating the building. But do you go ahead and start building the building, let's say, and it takes 5 years to build a new jail, and the current building is in ill repair? I don't know how y'all work that out. I hate to say it. I don't know how they actually work that out in a way that's realistic and proper. Because again, if it takes you 5 years and Rice Street is in the shape and the condition it is now, I mean, folk gonna be climbing out the windows in 5 years. That's 60 months, man. That's a long time. That's a long time for them to be doing dirt. But on the same note, you got to find facilities. I mean, I think they already have a possible place picked, but then you got to find this money, $1 billion. That's a lot of money. Let's just tell the truth. So shout out to Rome King. Respectfully, it needs to be condemned. I agree. But see, again, what needs to happen? Hey, do they condemn? Do they try? Like, for example, here would be an example in my mind. Let's say they got 3,000. I think they said 3,700, but let's just say 3,000 for easy math. They got 3,000 people in Rice Street. How many of those people, they sit down and they go through the advocacy program, whatnot like that? How many people are in here because of some kind of insane, ridiculously low bond, and they just don't have the money? They just don't have the money to take care of it. Are there other ways to get them out of this building? And let's say there's some, I'm not trying to say that they just let them run free without any bond, but is there some way to get them out of here so that you can get that number down even more, so you can start transitioning the very, very violent, the very the ones that got to stay up in there, right? Let's say there's 1,500 people that got to be in the jail. There's no way, shape, or form they need to be out in public. So you got 1,500, but you got 1,500 you got to you got to move them somewhere. How many of those have that low bond and they just don't have any money? They're broke, they're poor. How many of those could you share with another county? I mean, they send so many people here to Cobb County, it's ridiculous. Cobb County will be happy to take care of them. Can you send those to somewhere else so that you can get them down to the 1,500? You only have the 1,500 that are the most needful, and find some way. Now the community is going to have to do something on the outside to keep people. What can the community do to help the police, to help the system not continue to be stressed out with all these people? Where's my drink? I think she took my drink out of here. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways, but I'd love to hear some different thoughts in there. And I see Bellin in here has been a great commenter. What does she say here? The sheriff seems unsure about the numbers. Facts. Many of these people may be good candidates for a bond. No question for me. But the DA's office uses detention as a weapon, and the judges go along with it. Okay, so this is another issue, and thank you so much, Bellin. She is an attorney in Florida, I believe. Definitely check out, if you could, drop your link in the chat. We'll definitely shout you out for sure. But okay, is there some new way to go sidestep the DA's office that I do believe, after seeing what's happened with the YSL trial, I think most of us agree that the DA's office uses bonds, uses plea deals as bludgeons, as weapons, as chains to lock down these people, even though they're not inside the jail. So is it possible that there's some other way to get them take care of it? And I tell y'all in a heartbeat, I don't know. But I think there should be some other solutions. What else does Bella say? They need a new facility, facts, because the most likely never maintain that building. That building, I have no idea. But I'm just thinking some of the things I've seen, and you probably saw in the report, I saw in other videos about the jail, it just has too many people in it. I'm not saying that it's been maintained properly either, but it just has too many people. There's just too many humans in here. It was never meant to hold that many people. So there's going to be stress fractures. There's going to be issues where you're stressing the system to the point that it no longer works and does what it needs to do or what it was intended to do. Also, alternatives to incarceration and detention. I agree. They can put them on ankle monitor or transfer them to other facilities that are safe. They can talk to the feds. There you go. So, all right. Thank you, Bella. I knew I wasn't making it up. I knew I wasn't making it up. So, no, I appreciate that. That's a great insight. Thank you so much. What is going on? I see some good folk have popped into the chat. I appreciate all of you all. We were just looking at Sheriff Labatt's response to the Department of Justice report. Most of you all saw that. Shout out again to Catnot Williams. It's like a 97, 98 page report with lots of pictures and lots of debauchery, lots of shenanigans are happening over there at Rice Street. But is there a solution out there? Is there a solution that we're just not looking at because people are not taking responsibility for their part, their role that they contribute to this problem? So that was my question. And hopefully we can get some good conversation about that. We are going to shift a little bit of gear. Make sure I got that right. Okay. We're going to shift a little gear because I think we got something else fun to talk about in a moment. But I do want to say thank you to everybody that's already tapped in. Thank you, everybody who's hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. Thank you so much. I do want to make sure I'm giving you all what you all enjoy to see and to hear. So please let me know. I'm trying to, because of my daily obligations, my day job now, I want to make sure that I'm giving you all content that you all enjoy. So I'm going to be doing a lot more recaps, going over, again, YSL, going over what's happening with the Lake and Riley, going over those type of things like that. And of course, my political commentary. So I want to know if you're enjoying that social and political commentary from a Christian male perspective. Let me know down in the comments. You feel free. You can always shoot me an email. dearwokec@gmail.com is the email. Let me drop that in the chat for you as well. Feel free to hit me up. I appreciate everybody who does. It does mean a lot because it lets me know that you're concerned or you want to hear content that is and discussions that you enjoy. So most certainly I appreciate it. Speaking of content creators, what's going on, K-Dub from All Things Theology? Chris Williams is a solid, fantastic content creator that's been doing a great job dissecting church culture, what's going on in the pulpits, pimps in the pulpit, colored communism in the church, all that kind of stuff, melanated Marxism. He's been slicing and dicing it, but of course he's been looking at bad theology and helping us to equip us to be able to discern what's right and wrong. So shout out to Chris, great content creator. If you don't mind, Chris, drop your link in the chat so we can definitely make sure we check out what you're doing over there. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for stopping through on this evening. I do want to say before we get going, I don't know, did y'all watch the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight? I mean, it was almost like all news on Thursday and Friday. It was like almost definitely Friday. It was all news Saturday morning. What did y'all think about it? I have an opinion. I'm sure y'all knew that, right? That I would have an opinion on the matter. But what did y'all think about it? What did you watch it? And then what did you think about the let's talk about the actual fight itself. Tyson versus Paul. because I have some opinion. I'm not really a big boxing fan. I don't generally tap into boxing, but I did watch the whole thing. So the whole pay-per-view, the whole event. I did watch the whole thing. I got some opinions, but I just want to hear, what did y'all think about the Paul Tyson fight? Simply Renee, shout out to Simply Renee, great content supporter. She says it was underwhelmed. She did not feel like it. She weren't feeling it. Okay, I got you. She said, of course I watched it. Of course I watched it. I heard that rigged argument too. I did. I heard it too. Wow. Dang, Bella. Dang. She said, my opinion, I'm canceling my Netflix. Okay, I might have to hear why. I have to say, I might need to hear that one. If you got time, Bella, I might want to actually hear why you're going to cancel your Netflix because of the Paul Tyson fight. If you're willing to talk about it, I'm not, and definitely not trying to argue, not going to debate you or anything. That one I didn't see coming. So if you want to, I might drop the link in here, let you come on real quick and break it down. Cause that was okay. I didn't see that one coming. I'm gonna put a star by that one. Make sure I come back to that one. I was hoping for more. Thanks. I was hoping for definitely more. Absolutely more. Yeah, Doc, you right. Really? Okay. Okay, Bellin. I'm just going, if you want to, Bellin, I'm gonna just drop this in here for you. I want to hear, what was your experience? I'm gonna drop this in the chat. This is only for Bellin. If you would like to, if not, it's okay. Perfectly fine. No harm, no foul. You still my peeps. But I want to know what happened. If you're talking about like the buffering situation, there was a little bit of buffering over on when we watched it too. But I want to hear what your thoughts were. I don't want to see Tank Davis and I don't want to see Jake Paul fight anymore at all. I do have a video I want to some clips I want to bring together, and because somebody did a great review of it, and I just want to pull in a couple of points that he brought up and want to talk about it, because I'm not a boxing person. I'm a novice with combat sports. I'm much more prone to watch mixed martial arts, and we'll talk about the John Jones fight last night as well. Man, it was a late night weekend, right? Friday had the late fight. That thing didn't even get over to about 1:00. The John Jones fight didn't probably even start to 1:00 Eastern time. That thing was, oh my gosh, it's late. So anyway, but yeah, I want to bring that in a second, but I do want to hear what y'all thought about it. That John Jones kick was out of control. It was. Okay, no problem, Bella. I just want to hear, and if you want to, you don't even have to turn your camera on if you want to just audio. I just want to hear, like, now I've heard people say they're not cool, but I didn't hear people say they're going to disconnect their Netflix, which is, again, I'm not saying anybody, look, I don't think you need it, but that's interesting, because I thought it was kind of dope that Netflix is trying to be a competitor to your mainstream sports channels. Like Netflix is going to have like the Christmas game and the Thanksgiving game. That's kind of crazy. When you think about the Netflix used to just be a little service that mailed you DVDs. Now they're actually a streaming competitor like that. Now, I do know, well, I don't know this emphatically, but I think they got overwhelmed. They did not intend for that many people to want to watch that fight. They say like 65 million households worldwide watched that fight on Friday night. That's crazy. So I'm not mad at him at all. That's just insane. It's just insane to think like this is, again, they used to be the company that used to send you DVDs in the mail, and now they are a competitor in that space. I think that's kind of cool. And that's just my little hats off to Netflix. But I definitely want to hear now. If I'm wrong now, yeah, they used to mail it. Like I was talking to my niece. Shout out to Destiny. I was talking to my niece yesterday. She didn't know that. She didn't know that Netflix, because that's how young she is. She forgot. She didn't know about that. And she's like, you know what, Uncle? I thought I heard about that. like in a bygone era. Like, girl, you ain't that old. Get out of here. I'm not that old. So I thought it was wild. But let me bring this in. We're gonna bring this in. It's there's a content creator that did a review of the fight, and it was really informative. Y'all know I like those docu-series type of joints. So he did a review of the fight and gave just that highbrow response to what happened in the fight, so on and so forth. And I thought it was good. So I'm gonna bring this in and we'll talk about it as we go.
Paul versus Mike Tyson is everything wrong with society. This is a fight.
Okay, so let me just, because he's giving which I think is most of us. Wow, iPhone. Wait, Netflix was before iPhone? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. She knows about Blockbuster, but I don't think she put it all together. Yeah, I mean, she's right, though. She's right. I mean, I can't argue with her. I can't argue with the attorney. I cannot. I'm prone to argue with people, but I can't argue with her. She's right. Okay, let me ask you that. Before I pull this back in, is it possible that might have been how do they test it again to see if they're ready? Is there some way to stress test it? Because you can do as many dry runs and all that kind of stuff like that, but you don't know until you know when you have 65 million people watching. Now, I don't think they're going to be doing a Super Bowl, but you got to get a Monday Night Football. You got to get a Thursday Night Football. You got to get a NBA Game 5, Game 6 type of scenario to really see how well you're going to do. So I don't know. Do they ever get a chance do they get a run back, or is it just they're done? One and done, Bellin. Is it one and done, or do they get a run back? I don't know. Hey, let's check this out. I'm going to see what y'all think.
Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is everything wrong with society. This is a fight that once again pushes the message that clout, money, and influence is valued above everything else in our society. And while it's going to be fun to watch the fight, the fact that it's even taking place can tell us a lot about where society is headed. If you were to have told somebody 50 years ago about this situation, it would just seem laughable, absurd, and downright stupid. But now it's becoming increasingly acceptable that any influencer with enough followers can become the face of boxing. Now, most amateurs in boxing have to claw their way to the top. They spend years honing their skills before they're even given a shot at recognition, much less the big leagues. Paul, in contrast, with clout and influence, has essentially paid his way to fight in the big leagues. And if you have enough money and clout, it seems like in our society today you can almost do anything now, no matter where it's fair, just, or not. Using his money and influence, he was able to get athletes with legends behind their names to fight him. And to his audience, he was taking on the best of the best, which added weight to his declarations of being a great fighter when he won. And it annoyed boxing fans to no end. It kind of makes sense, but at the same time, the fact that this stuff is allowed and just continues to go on, taking precedence over real boxing, is showing what's really valued. It isn't just the dedication, skill, rising to the top from nothing. What the sport really seems to be valuing today is clout, money, and superficial flashiness. This is why boxing elites and many others question the legitimacy of his career. Many suspected the influencer wouldn't stand a chance against a professional boxer. He challenged Tommy Fury. Fury is the only pro boxer Paul has actually dared to fight, and it's obvious why. Having grown used to the slower pace of former opponents, Paul wasn't ready for Fury's rapid-fire hits, and unsurprisingly, Fury won. And those who doubted the influencer's skills felt justified. Now, most people could ignore Jake again. For the average person, he slipped back into oblivion. As a result, his next few fights were bittersweet wins, but they just weren't landing the same, and the now 27-year-old wasn't really having it. He needed a fight that would grab people's attention, something that would anger them so much that they couldn't help but pay attention to him. A boxing fight that should never happen. A fight that's completely about just clout, money, and nothing else. He needed to challenge one of the most iconic fighters in the world. A fighter who was once so dangerous, Jake's life would have been in danger had he fought him in his prime. Mike Tyson. But this fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is more than just an embarrassment for the boxing world. It will become a demonstration of how society rewards and often values showmanship over hard work. These kinds of novelty bouts are nearly always disappointing, and they're always forgotten shortly afterwards. Everyone remembers George Foreman's fight against Ali, or the time he took back the belt a stunning 2 decades later. But barely anyone remembers the time he fought 5 men in one night. It just doesn't really have the same place in history, as it comes across just so absurd. This is one of the first of these big fights that actually isn't an exhibition match. It's going on both of their records. So if Jake Paul does end up victorious, it would be a fitting analogy for the state of boxing right now. New money triumphing over an old, tired ex-champion. It's often a sad story when ex-boxers go back into the ring against far younger men if they lose badly. Another reason influencers have latched onto boxing is that it gives them a feeling of legitimacy. Jake Paul wants to make it as a boxer, or at least he says that he does, because it would be a real achievement. He never will, of course, and his ego-tripping takes up space and attention which is directly needed by the rest of the boxing world. There are obviously far more skilled boxers in the world, people who have dedicated years to climbing up the ranks, and many will never even get a taste of the viewership drawn to the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. And it's kind of infuriating that an influencer who's been in the game for a few years can earn more from showing up to a fight than a pro can ever win from winning one. And the fact that this is just boxing now is warping the young generation's sense of value and success. It seems like these days your success is often measured just by how many followers you have. It doesn't even matter if you're skilled at your craft. If you aren't earning vast amounts of money from it, you just aren't successful. Or rather, that's the mindset of a lot of the younger generation, as learned from following people like Jake Paul and other influencers. Now, he may inspire someone to follow in his footsteps, but what happens when they don't succeed as fast as he did? They may get frustrated to the point they resent the sport and eventually drop it. While the situation is hypothetical, it is still very likely. But even more worrying is the fact that to make it as a boxer, or anything really in life anymore, it's more about your clout and appearance rather than the substance behind it. Valuing flashiness over professionalism is extending far beyond just boxing. And even more worryingly is that we're starting to see this in the political sphere, as people have completely forgotten today that they shouldn't really rely on their favorite celebrities for political guidance, nor celebrities to run for president, as their expertise is flashiness and entertainment, not what's best for an entire country's governance. But as younger generations are pushed more and more towards distrusting their government that has abandoned them, they rely on stars to make their critical decisions. So many people trust celebrity agendas more than even politicians. They'll trust Hollywood stars virtue signaling, or billionaires trying to be relatable more than actual professionals in the field. Just like the boxing fights that we're starting to see, hatred and division is the best thing to make money. It's the best thing that gets views, and it's the best things to profit from these views. Just like in politics, the stronger and more dividing your opinions, the more fame and attention you seem to get, and thus the more power. Which is leading to a world where we value superficial facades and increasing division and disunity over everything else. An entire society continually arguing over who's going to win in a fight and who looks the best. Now, in regards to this fight, the fight will be huge. It'll probably go down as one of the biggest events in the sport's history, but not because of the skill involved. It's all just because of outrage clicks. People wanting to see Jay get punched in the face by Mike, and laughing at his weakened abilities. All for a giant profit from the flashiness, no substance fight that's changing boxing for the absolute worst. No matter what happens in this fight, Jake Paul won't emerge as a hero, and he knows that. It's just part of the persona. If he actually does beat Mike Tyson, he might become the face of boxing for a little bit. But he's also the guy who beat up an old man for that title to get more views and clout. On the other hand, if Tyson wins, Jake Paul will be the laughing stock of the sport. But as much as people will continue to shame him, he doesn't care what people think, and it's easy to see why. At the end of the day, he will make a bunch of money from this and become more famous for it. And you can't really blame him for that. It's more the fact that he's rewarded for doing so in the first place. And this is just one of the most frustrating things about this entire situation.
All right. Tell me what y'all thought. Tell me what y'all thought about it. Beat up an old man for clout is nasty work. I agree 100%. Now I have my take on it. I want to hear what y'all think about it. What did y'all think about the fight if you watched it or if you saw clips of it? I mean, it really was underwhelming, as somebody said earlier. I had to say, I think the undercard and the co-main event were actually way more entertaining. And I will say this because I want to make sure it's out there and put it out there. I do not support female combat sports. I don't think that it's right. I don't think that it's not something I enjoy primarily, anything like that. If I have to watch it, I do. If it's a part of the card and I can't really go anywhere else to watch it, I'll just sit and watch it. Now, all that being said, the Sabrera Taylor fight, that fight was insane. I have to admit, I was like, yo, I don't even like female fighting, but that was a great fight. I hate watching that kind of stuff, but my goodness, in the morning, that was a fight. I don't know what that Jake Paul thing was afterwards. The two gentlemen that fought before them, Ramos, I think, and that was a great fight too. I thought that was an excellent fight. And the fight even before then, all the undercard was great. The co-main event was great. The Jake Paul Tyson fight, it didn't even need to happen. There you go, Ramos Barros fight. That was a real fight. That was a great fight. Again, I don't really watch boxing like that, but I was like, if this is what boxing is like, hey, I might have to chop in. I might be watching a little bit of boxing. Your boy might watch a little boxing. But okay, I want to hear your thoughts on the fight if you saw it. All right, the clips I saw reminded me of the YMCA second month boxing class. I don't know if you saw DWK, but Mike Tyson told the young girl who, yes, I did see that interview, him that he was not interested in what a legacy would look like. I found that interesting. I did too. I don't think I agree with, I don't think Mike Tyson was being honest. I'm just being honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Mike Tyson was being honest. I do think he cares about legacy. I do. Maybe not in the sense that, he wants statues and monuments built after him, high schools named after him. But I do think he cares about what he leaves his kids. I do think he does. That's my 2 cents. Hey, look, if Mike Tyson looked me in the eye and said he don't believe in legacy, I'm gonna say, yes, sir, you don't believe in legacy. Absolutely. As long as I'm safe on this side of the camera, I'm gonna say I think Mike Tyson does care about legacy to a degree. All right. I used to love boxing, but I don't anymore. I took up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu while I was in high school. It's good for mental discipline and fortitude through tough moments. I don't look for fights though. Right. Okay, let me talk about what I thought about the Jake Paul fight. And I'm speaking directly about Mike Tyson. Okay. I think Mike Tyson is missing a wonderful opportunity. And what is this opportunity that you're talking about, Jason? I think he's missing the perfect opportunity to do something that won't scramble his brain, for 30 minutes, that won't stress and tax his body and all that kind of stuff. And he can leave a better legacy than what he's doing by getting in a ring and boxing. Well, what is this, Jason? What is this magical thing that Mike Tyson should do? He should podcast. Think about it. How many retired football players and basketball players and such like that have gotten into podcasting and are crushing it? Absolutely. How many in my opinion, podcasting is the old man's retirement program. I'm speaking as an old man. Okay. I think Mike Tyson, because y'all got to admit, Mike Tyson breaking down fights would probably be comical. It would probably be some high level, like, yo, this is enjoyable. Absolutely. Interviewing boxers, interviewing fighters, doing reactions to fights, talking about methodologies and so on and so forth. I think that he could be a fantastic podcaster. Absolutely. And he's already engaged. He's already in the orbit of so many great content creators, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, Joe Rogan. He's already been engaged with these people. All he's got to do is just partner up with them, build a studio, turn the camera on and say, we're back. I think Mike Tyson would crush it. I think he would crush it. And let me give you this also, because I do believe, as I said before, there's my favorite child that loves me. Thank you so much. Love. Do you want to get on? Do you want to call in and talk about what we were ranting about this morning?
I can just give me like a quick prompt and I'll give my thoughts right now.
Well, no. I'm finishing up what I'm talking about at this moment. I'll text you. It'll be about 30 minutes.
I could be asleep by then.
Oh, if you're asleep, you're asleep. Send me some. If you're asleep, send me like some little Z's so I know you're snoring.
I love you.
I think you do this week.
Did I do the dishes? I brought him his Stanley.
No, that's about all I got, man. Let me look. I gotta get my W's where I can. Rome. I gotta get my W's where I can. I'll shoot you a message if you want to come on. Then that's cool. Get by your. But I'm talking about something right now.
Yeah, but like I don't have to get up. I can just come back down here and talk.
Okay, then we'll look at it, baby.
I love you.
I have feelings for you as well. I don't even know where I was. Okay. Somebody told me that my channel is chaotic because I let my children come on the channel with me. I don't care what the person says. I don't care. We are chaotic here, and that's just what it is. So I think Mike Tyson should get into podcasting. I mean, he has the persona, he has the grit, such like that. And going back to his legacy, because this is something I don't think people consider and think about. This content that I'm shooting right here is mine. If I joined ESPN or whatever, this content is mine. And that means that my children, I could will this catalog to my children. And same thing with if I was on ESPN or Sports Center or whatever, Fox News or Gateway Pundit, whatever, I could write in that this content that I'm making here is mine. And my children can do whatever they want to do with this content. And they can monetize it when I'm gone. They could do remix it. They can, I don't care, whatever. They can do whatever. It's theirs. It's because it's mine. And I've willed it to them. The reason I bring this up is because we know countless musicians who don't own their own catalogs. Well, podcasters actually own their own catalogs. I own all my content. All of it is mine. Even if I put it on YouTube, I still got the master. I still got the original. Sometimes it's been edited, sometimes it hasn't been, but that's mine. And I can pass that on to my kids and they can do things with it. There is a content creator that was here in Atlanta that died about 2 years ago. His daughter is still making money off of his content and he's already passed on. So my point is, this is again, I call this the old man retirement program. Like, this is another way for older people. As you're getting older in years, you can't keep fighting. You can't keep doing the accounting. You can't keep race car driving. But what you can do is talk about your experience. You can talk about all of that stuff that you know that's inside your brain and put it out on wax, put it out on digital, and let the people have it. Because in a way, in a roundabout kind of way, podcasters are modern day authors. And what I mean by that is we're taking these concepts, we're taking these ideas, and instead of putting them on pen to paper, we're putting them light to camera, voice to microphone, and we're making them something digital that people can consume. Now, granted, it's not the same as a audio book. I'm not trying to minimize books by any means or measure, but I am saying is I think you all see my point that this is very much akin to it. Now, watch this. How many authors would absolutely love to have Shannon Sharp type of numbers as it relates to their books? I agree. So you see my point. So if we go jump to Shannon Sharp's numbers, his numbers are crazy. His numbers were fantastic this year. I can't wait for him to do some kind of like recap of 2024 because his numbers have been just completely out of control. What author would not pay for that? What comic book artist would not pay for that? To have those kind of numbers, have that much engagement on his content or her content? Again, I think podcasting is the old man retirement program. But not only is it something that's safe, because you don't have to worry about getting in the ring and getting your brain scrambled for 30 minutes. Not only is it something that's legacy-wise that you can pass on to your children, but also it is an opportunity for you to pass your knowledge on to countless other generations. Think about what Mike Tyson has learned in boxing. Just think about it. I mean, for being in boxing, I mean, he's 58. So he's 8 years older than me. So he's been in boxing for way longer than I've even thought about boxing. So he's got a lot of experience. What if he's putting that out there in training videos? What if he's putting it out in just coaching videos and whatnot of that nature, just to get all that information out and captured in a way that people can later on glean from? He's giving an opportunity to the next generation by putting it on wax, by being a digital content creator. I think Mike Tyson is missing the opportunity. I hope and pray he never steps into another public ring again. And there's no reason for it. What there is need for is for Mike Tyson to extend his legacy. I know he said he didn't care about legacy, but I don't think that that's true as much as he wants it. I think there's a little bit of copium there, in my opinion. I think there's a little bit of copium there trying to make myself believe that I really don't care about it. But deep down inside, my guy, you care about it. You do, deep down inside, I think. But what do y'all think? Yeah, am I crazy? Am I just out of control? Am I out of control there? What do y'all think about Mike Tyson learned not to bite people Well, that's true. Problem is, he should learn that in kindergarten. He should learn that a long time ago. Yeah, legacy isn't touched on. I think, and again, I think even Mike Tyson, when you go back, I should have pulled that video up. His definition of what he was talking about legacy, like just people talk about me. People, no, that's not it. There's skill, there's knowledge that you could pass on to the next series of boxers. There's information you can pass on to your sons and daughters, and it's such like that is way more valuable than just somebody naming a gym or a high school after you. And I think he was thinking, in my opinion, the way he presented it was like just people saying your name when you pass on. I don't think that's the case by a mile, not even by a whole mile, but rather I think he's missed that opportunity. And again, I don't know if he truly missed it as much as he just maybe misrepresented it for sure. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. I think he might benefit from getting into podcasting. I got a microphone I can loan him if he wants to start. I can help him out. What y'all think about it though? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I appreciate it. Now, we're going to shift a little bit of gear. Thank y'all so much for the engagement on that. Thank you so much for your thoughts on it and such like that. I'm glad. Now, somebody mentioned, I think the overall issue is with Netflix is Netflix did have a lag issue, and they did have a bandwidth and I think they definitely stressed out issue. I think I'm willing to give them another one. I'm ready. I'm willing to give them another if they say, hey, we got the Christmas game or we got the Thanksgiving game. Let's see how they do. If they fail again, then yeah, I agree with y'all. Get rid of Netflix. But I think, hey, I thought it was cool that they were even in the conversation. Whoever would have thought that Netflix would be a sports streaming channel? That's crazy. Just to say that out loud is wild. So, yeah, I want to hear what y'all think about that. But I appreciate you though. Instagram made Netflix look like a Bonneville with the live stream. Really? Okay. I did not know. So wait, did Instagram the fight? Are you saying that or something else? Okay, this is something interesting. Let's talk about this. I also don't understand why Mike Tyson agreed to make less. Apparently, Jake Paul made 40 million and Mike 20. Yeah, I agree. But according to Mike Tyson, he didn't even need the money. He just wanted to fight somebody. I don't know how much of that is copium. I don't know how much of that is really true. I don't know how much of that is reality versus a lie. So I'm going to go with, if he said it, I'm going to take his word for it, that he really didn't need the bread. So if that be the case, then maybe that's why he took less. But most of the time, there's not usually a true 50-50 split between combatants. If you look at like UFC, those numbers are they're all over the place. I mean, at least this is like at least Mike Tyson made 50% of what Jake Paul made. You can look at a UFC fight and you can see something as crazy as like 70-30, 80-20. I mean, there's some bad numbers out there. So, and Mike Tyson was the draw. I don't think Mike Tyson should have did it though, but that was always my point in the first place. Mike Tyson shouldn't have fought. I didn't think it was right for him to do that anyway, in my opinion. But no, great points though. People are live feeding on Instagram the fight and has 60, 80 million viewers each person. Wow. Maybe I should have did that. oh, that's messed up, man. That's messed up, Rome King. But I'm glad you brought that up because respectfully, I want to talk about what's next for the Democratic Party here in Georgia. And if you could, I would like for you, if in your state, maybe a local newscast is talking about what your local state is going to do or what the Democratic Party in your local state needs to do. If you run across one of those, could you send it to me? Because I think this is a very interesting conversation, and I want to hear what you all think about it. So I'm gonna bring it in. I think I am. I'm gonna bring it in, and let's speed this up too. This is didn't realize how long it was when I did that. All right, let's see here. Let's go with 1.25. Get us through this. Let's go.
It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite.
Hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright.
27th president-elect of the United States, Donald Trump, continues making his cabinet appointments and building out his White House staff. We have been following the historic 2024 presidential election since the campaign began several years ago, and we are continuing to follow the fallout from that election and Georgia's future as a continuing battleground state in the United States. I'm Tim Darnell. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Political Update, broadcasting from our First Alert desk in our Midtown Atlanta studios, and I'm joined by not only the hardest working political reporter in Georgia, but also one of the most knowledgeable, Doug Reardon. Doug, you have been covering the campaign since its very beginning. Several months ago, more than a couple of years ago now, when Donald Trump announced his intention to run for re-election. And on election night, you were actually at the Trump watch party in Buckhead. I'd love to hear from your experiences, what the mood and the atmosphere was like at that night.
Yeah, well, typically at election parties, Tim, you'll see the ups and downs as the numbers start to roll in, losing a state here, winning a state there. But that was certainly not really the case at this GOP watch party held by the Georgia Party at the Grand Hyatt in Buckhead. People were happy throughout the night. And as the numbers started to come back, as polls started to close in other states that are closing later than us, and those numbers started to roll in, it was a very joyous atmosphere in that Grand Hyatt ballroom because I think there was a sense from the very beginning that Donald Trump was ahead. He stayed ahead. And a lot of the room was cleared by the time Georgia was even called at about 1:30 in the morning because people felt so confident that he was going to run away with that win. They started going home to watch on their own couches. And so there was a lot of confidence in that room. And again, there was never really a down moment because the former president and now president-elect won just about every state he was supposed to, and some of the states that people thought he might not win.
As I mentioned at the top, Donald Trump is continuing to build out his cabinet and his White House staff. We know that Susie Wiles has been named his White House Chief of Staff. She is the first female Chief of Staff in the Oval Office in American history. Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, Director of Homeland Security, former Arkansas Governor and presidential candidate Mike Huckabee, U.S. Ambassador to Israel, John Ratcliffe, CIA Director, Tom Homan, one of his first appointments as border czar, Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor, also billionaire entrepreneur and visionary Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy have been named to a new department, the Department of Government Efficiency. We have this report from CBS national correspondent Jared Hill on all of these cabinet appointments and more that are in the works. Here's that report.
This morning, President-elect Donald Trump back at the White House, meeting with President Joe Biden, who once called him an existential threat to democracy.
He believes in the norms. He believes in our institution. He believes in the peaceful transfer of power.
The visit comes as Trump has been quickly building his new administration. Yesterday, the president-elect said billionaire Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy will co-chair a newly created Department of Government Efficiency designed to dismantle government bureaucracy and slash excess waste, calling it the Manhattan Project of our time.
Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
Trump also nominated former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, a strong defender of Israel who's against a two-state solution with Palestinians, as U.S. ambassador to Israel. Former Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe, once Trump's director of national intelligence, picked as CIA director, and Army veteran and Fox News host Pete Hegseth named Secretary of Defense, a pick that drew this reaction from the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee.
He does not seem to have much of a detailed background in DoD policy. The lack of experience is concerning.
The new Republican-led Senate will have to confirm Hegseth and other Trump cabinet-level picks in the coming weeks. Jared Hill, CBS News.
That was Jared Hill from CBS News. And Doug, we were talking about Georgia and how it went for Donald Trump. We had been speculating in the days leading until election night that with all of the massive numbers, record-setting numbers of Georgia voters who took advance of early voting, that we were perhaps anticipating Georgia to be called possibly before midnight. Didn't happen, came around 1 a.m., but still the mood, as you were saying, at the Trump headquarters here, or the GOP watch party, was ecstatic. And one very ardent Georgia Trump supporter, Kelly Loeffler, has been named to his transition team. Tell us how all that came about.
So Loeffler, who was a former U.S. Senator from Georgia and was a huge, not only financially Trump supporter, but also on the campaign trail, she was a huge surrogate. You saw her at just about every rally. The president would often call out to her at rallies when she was sitting in the crowd. She's going to lead his inaugural committee, which is the group that's put together to handle the logistics for the January 20th inauguration. It's a big deal. It's mostly ceremonial, but it's also kind of a thank you and a bone to throw to people who have been loyal supporters of you. And as you look at the president-elect building out his cabinet, you can see that he is fulfilling a promise to install loyalists at these really high-level positions. Of course, it's really no secret what some former members of Trump's administration in the first go-around now say about him, that he's dangerous. Folks saying things like his former military generals, that he was comparing loyalty to Hitler's generals. And so this time around, it's pretty obvious that Trump is going for the people who most support him, no matter what he does or says when filling out his cabinet and some of these more ceremonial positions.
Regarding Kelly Loeffler, she is a former United States Senator. Governor Brian Kemp appointed her to fulfill the unexpired term of former now deceased U.S. Senator Johnny Isakson, one of Georgia's most popular Republican officials, first as a state lawmaker, then a congressman, and then a U.S. Senator. Johnny Isakson retired a couple of years ago due to health reasons and later passed away. But Kelly Loeffler was unsuccessful in her bid to retain her U.S. Senate seat during her first true election when she was seeking her first 6-year term. You did a story earlier this week on Georgia Democrats' reaction to the overwhelming support that really propelled Donald Trump not only to win Georgia, but also to win the Oval Office. And one of the people in your packages, in this upcoming package, is Senator Raphael Warnock, who was the architect of Kelly Loeffler's Senate defeat a couple of years ago. I want to play this package. We're talking, first of all, about the criticism that Georgia Democratic Party chairwoman and U.S. Congresswoman Nikema Williams is under, but also Reverend Warnock had some very interesting, very pointed comments this past weekend. Let's play that package right now.
This week, 22 members of the Georgia Democratic Party, most of them candidates who lost their recent state house races, called for the resignation of party chair Nikema Williams. They say Williams, who is also Georgia's 5th district representative in Congress, didn't do enough to help Democrats win this November. The letter reads, quote, being in the U.S. House of Representatives is a full-time job requiring the member of Congress to spend countless hours in their district in Washington. There is simply no time to lead a battleground state party. It came the same week the group Young Georgia Democrats also called for Williams' resignation, saying as a member of Congress she was, quote, legally limited in her ability to fundraise for the party because she is a congresswoman. While we appreciate and respect her service, these two roles are not compatible. It was continued fallout for Democrats who suffered huge losses in last week's election. During his Sunday sermon at Ebenezer Baptist Church, Democratic Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock touched on the difficult night for his party while urging congregants to remember the 2026 election when the governor's mansion and a Senate seat are on the ballot.
Because we find ourselves asking ourselves, how could we be here again? Makes me want to holler. Throw up both my hands. But we're getting ready. Because this won't be the first time we had to save America.
Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
Doug, that package we just showed had Reverend Warnock really saying this past Sunday, how did we get here? How are we finding ourselves in this position again? And this isn't the first time we're called upon to quote unquote save America. Tell me your take on that.
Okay, I got to stop. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm finding it so interesting to me that if I were to, as a pastor of Dear Woke Christian Presbyterian, if I stood in my pulpit and regaled about the wonderfulness of Donald Trump winning, people would immediately run to separation of church and state rhetoric. But they're so comfortable with Democrats standing in pulpits, politically posturing, that they never say a word. Like these people, I promise you, I like Atlanta News First. Y'all know I roll with Atlanta News First. They would absolutely unequivocally come off the top rope if Pastor Jason at Dear Woke Christian Presbyterian was talking about how great and wonderful it is, bringing politicians in and the whole nine. But they don't even bat an eye when it happens elsewhere. That is so amazing to me. Like, how do y'all? Now, again, I don't believe that any church, a true church, should make political commentary at all, catch me outside. Again, last Sunday, my pastor preached on render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar. Well, Jason, that's you can make a politics out of that. You can. It was also right in step with where we've been going as we've been marching through the book of Luke. And it just so happened by God's providence that that's the passage that he talked about. He might have made 2 jokes about or statements about politics and very little about the election. So I can rock with Joel. I rock with Joel in that regard. But here, like, these people don't even realize it. It's so wild because they sit there and smile and cheese when Raphael Warnock at this fake church. Now, again, it's not really a church, and I'll catch me outside, dearwokec@gmail.com if you have a question, comment, concern about what I just said. It's not really a church, not a Church of Jesus Christ, at least, but they will let that go with no problem. They don't even bat an eye. But if I did it, they would bat more than an eye. Let's get this done, Jason. Let's go.
Well, I think there's a lot of disappointment in Democratic circles, to be honest with you. I knew that Democrats have been expecting a close race here in Georgia, places like North Carolina and places like Michigan, but they didn't pan out that way. And it was because President-elect Trump had gotten so much support, an increase in support where he already had it from a lot of groups that people might be surprised by, suburban voters, urban voters, especially Black men and Latino men. He got almost 50% of the Latino male vote and almost 40% of the Latino women vote. And I know we'll talk about that more in a minute, but these were the types of things that were really baffling Democrats and I think really upsetting to them. I had a state senator, Jason Estevez, come and the day after the election tell me that it was time to do some soul searching in the Democratic Party. He said it was a wake-up call. And so when you hear Democrats use this type of language, it's pretty obvious that they're not feeling good about the direction of their party at the state level or at the federal level, because we heard Senator Warnock say the same thing. So it really is time for a retooling of their messaging and a kind of rethinking of how they reach out to voters.
Let's talk about the Latino vote, because this is another focus on another package and a report that we're going to show momentarily. Donald Trump, I mean, the last couple of election cycles, this is the 3rd election cycle, his 3rd consecutive time appearing on the GOP ballot for the White House. He has really made a lot of inroads in a voting demographic that has, may feel that they have been taken for granted by the Democratic Party. Talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, and when we talked to a couple Latino voters who cast ballots for Trump, it actually made a lot of sense, right? When you think about the values that the Latino community has, strong nuclear families, very small business oriented, very highly religious as well, it matches up more with what the GOP has going for it in its messaging than what the Democrats do. And it's been this way for a long time, but again, it's kind of a misnomer that Latino males and Latina females vote Democrat by default. That certainly wasn't the case this time around. Trump saw almost a 5% increase in his take of Latino voters over the course of 2020 to now. And again, one of the things that baffled a lot of people about this, as we're about to hear, is this element of immigration and some of what Trump says about folks who are coming in from South American countries. But remember, you have to be a legal citizen to vote. And these people are telling me, as you're about to hear, that they did it the right way. And they actually agree with what Trump says about immigration.
Let's listen to your report right now.
And family, faith, right? And the strong culture, strong communities.
Angel Rosario has been an advocate in the Georgia Latino community for decades. He doesn't understand why people are perplexed that Donald Trump captured almost half of Latino men and almost 40% of Latino women in this week's election.
They're Democrat. They make an assumption that they're Democrat. And, and it's like, we're a lot bigger than that, right? We're about working hard. We're about opportunity. We're about strong families. We're about strong faith. Nowhere in Kamala's campaign was that ever said, right?
Rosario says what Democrats took for granted, Republicans this year paid attention to. Their message, he says, was much clearer.
The Latino who's trying to put food on his table for food on the table for his family, he's not looking at, hey, this guy's a dictator.
Despite Trump's plans to carry out mass deportations and rhetoric around immigrants, that wasn't the main concern among voting Latinos, says Trump voter and advocate Camille Solberg.
They were thinking, okay, now it's all about safety. Are we safe here in America? We just came from El Salvador or whatever, and now this country is going to turn into what we ran from?
Right? They're saying that, hey, we want to have immigration. We are immigrants ourselves, but we came the right way. We paid our fees. We put our time in here.
Solberg and Rosario both say the learning lesson for campaigns on both sides is to pay more attention to the unique needs of the Latino community, because the voting bloc isn't a monolith.
They're not at all. And that is an error that the Democrats have committed again and again and again.
We're saying, hey, man, just come in and give your message.
Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
Now that Donald Trump is the victor of the 2024 presidential election, an election unprecedented in American history, an election that in which he sought to become the first twice impeached president to reclaim the White House, a race in which he was successful in reclaiming the White House for 2 non-consecutive terms, becoming the first American chief executive to do so since Democrat Grover Cleveland in the 19th century accomplished the same feat, and also becoming the first convicted felon to be elected to the Oval Office. Vice President Kamala Harris was seeking to become the first woman and the first woman of color to win the presidency, as well as become the first candidate to be elected to the White House without ever winning any of her party's primaries. The automatic question is, what happens now in Georgia? A lot of speculation as to the status of the other felony and civil cases in which the 45th and soon to be 47th president is involved in. Georgia obviously is front and center with that. One of our top stories on the day after the election was what happens to Trump's Georgia indictment case now that he is officially the president-elect. You have an interview coming up very soon with Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, who is at the heart of that indictment. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this.
Well, I think that it's kind of out of our hands at this point because we had that Supreme Court ruling that showed that this was from a couple months ago that ruled presidents in their acting duties are immune from most prosecutions if they're acting in their official capacity. And at the time on January 6th, and when Trump had also made that now infamous call to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, he was still commander-in-chief. Lame duck, yes, but still commander-in-chief. And so it will be very difficult now for District Attorney Fonnie Willis to prosecute Trump. Probably impossible, I would venture to guess, while he's in office. And so the earliest she could get that done would be at the end of his 4-year term in 2029, closing in on probably 2030 by the time things start to wind back down. And so this may not be a possibility for her, but keep in mind, there are over a dozen other people who are charged in this case, and some big names too. Mark Meadows, who just got his bid to move this to federal court denied yesterday, so he'll be in Fulton County. Rudy Giuliani, who again has a $148 million settlement to pay to 2 Georgia election workers. So these are people who are still facing charges, who really had a lot of hand in the alleged acts that Fonnie Willis says went on after the election. So we can't forget about them, but it is very unlikely that President-elect Trump will be prosecuted anytime in the next 4.5 years.
And as we wrap up this edition of Political Update here on Atlanta News First, we will remind everyone that the Georgia Court of Appeals will be holding a hearing in early December that will determine whether or not Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis will even be allowed to remain on the case.
I forgot about
In
that.
the meantime, we will continue to follow these and all of the other fascinating political developments here as Georgia continues its role as the battleground state to watch. In the nation, you can watch all of our podcasts on our YouTube page, the Atlanta News First YouTube page, and listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or wherever you download and listen to your favorite podcast. Thanks for watching and listening to this edition of Political Update on Atlanta News First.
Shout out to them. Thank you so much. That is really loud. Shout out to them. Thank you so much, Atlanta News First. I like them, man. I really do like Atlanta News First. Somebody asked a question here, and yes, the Lake and Riley case up in Athens, Georgia, just started this week, and I think that might have had a hand in why Athens, Georgia is a whole lot more red than it was in 2020. Just a thought. In 2016, just a thought. I think because of that, Rome King, I think that's why. Georgia does not have term limits for DAs. No. Paul Howard, if I'm not mistaken, was like DA for like 28 years, 30 years. He was a DA for a hot minute. And Fonnie Willis could very well, if elected again, she could be running the table for many, many years. But we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, if nothing else, man, hopefully, whoever wants to remove Fonnie Willis from the equation is already starting his or her play and move to dismantle Fonnie Willis's support base. That's it. I'm not going to turn this into my political pundency. What do we call it? We had a consulting firm. I'm not going to turn this back into my political consulting firm, but there's a lot, man. Fonnie Willis leaves a lot of meat on the bone. And if somebody was smart, they would get out there. They would already be just starting it out. They would already be getting involved in the community. They would already be starting to make their name known. They would already start causing a little bit of stir, because in 4 years it's going to be happening like that. And we'll be right here in 2028, by God's grace, talking about the next election. He or she needs to already be not campaigning, but they need to start putting some roots down, watering that stuff, fertilizing that stuff, pruning, and working the soil as much as they can to get themselves ready. So once it's acceptable, 2026-ish and whatnot, the end of 26, they've already started the grassroots. The grassroots is already rooting in there. But that's just my little 2 cents. They got to get working on it. Funny Will's getting herself in jail or disbarred her first term and is already tapping on a hired help to quid pro quo. What do you mean? I got to figure that one out. Term limits are talking point. Yes, this is the issue. A lot of people talk about term limits. Vote the person out. That's it. But usually when somebody says term limits, oh, mercy. All right.
Oh, you said 30 minutes.
I did say 30 minutes. Y'all, okay.
I've been up.
Okay, you're up. I was gonna let you be in your room and you can be on your computer.
You understand how much work that is?
To turn your computer on?
I'll kneel. I'll squat. I'll do wall sits.
Hold on 1 second. Let me. I got one more video to do. We'll talk about that. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, special guest. We got President Firstborn. What are we talking about? Oh, well, everybody knows I don't like Hollywood, so that's not revelation knowledge. Oh, do you want me to talk or you want to talk?
You talk, and then I'll co-sign in with some specific examples.
How about I'm just gonna let you talk. Come on, I'm gonna get out of the way. Hold on.
Well, give me like a talking prompt.
What was it that you were talking about in the car when we were on the way to Sunday school?
We were talking about Hollywood movies and how you don't like when they revamp ideas. And you were talking about cars.
Oh, no, we were talking about Gladiator 2. There we go.
Yes,
Oh,
talking about
have a seat. Have a seat. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am ready to rant my socks off. Here it comes. Gladiator. Let's rewind time back to the whenevers, the 19 whenevers. Russell Crowe, Gladiator. Are you not entertained? That was a great movie. That was an epic movie. One of the dare I say, one of the first to start a trend of the mass scale war movies. Okay, I think we can all agree to that. Now, Gladiator ended perfect. It ended well. I think it was a movie that was, and it ended, and everything was great about it. I'm sorry. The only thing I can think about that was probably as equally as good is like 300. Yep, somebody just said it. 300. Again, fantastic movie. Does not require a sequel. However, Hollywood, in their complete and utter incompetence, their inability to put together coherent thoughts greater than their toe itching, keeps taking these great movies and trying to make a sequel, dare I say a franchise out of it. Because you do know that there's a Gladiator 2 coming out next month, it's coming out Friday. And it's going to flop. It's going to be a terrible movie because nobody was asking for this. Nobody was looking for this. But this is the thing that I think President Firstborn wants to get on about is Hollywood is outright racist.
Oh, I wasn't going to go there.
Oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. Hollywood is unequivocally racist. And what I mean by that is the only valid history is white European history. That's it. I'm sorry. Tinseltown, they cannot think of any history that is valid that's not white history. European history. That's it. That's the only history that's valid. That's the only history. There is no other valid history apart from that. I'm sorry. And you know how I know that? Because there's an entire world that they've never, ever addressed, never, ever touched. They never go to. They only go to these places when they go there with a white character. I'm here to fight. I'm here to pick fights. DearWokeC@gmail.com. Make sure you email me. What do you mean, Jason? They've never done. There's an entire landmass south of Europe. across the little pond thing, right? The Mediterranean Sea, that they could go there and they would never have to talk about white people. You got superheroes, you got kings, you got kingdoms, you got slaveries, you got wars, you got ups, you got downs. They got all of that stuff in Africa, but they can't seem to find their way, find their passport, their visa to get to, I don't know, maybe they don't have the little weird plug system to plug in electronics. So they can't get there to Africa to actually deal with the wonderful characters and the fantastic art that is there, because they only see white characters as being valid. That's why they got Gladiator again happening where? In Europe, with who? White characters, and they bring in ethnically other characters. Why don't you just go to Africa? You don't even have to do that. But you know what? You could go to South America, do the exact same thing. You could go to India. You could go to Asia. You don't do it. Why? Because Hollywood is unequivocally, unadulteratedly racist. The only valid history is white history, or white characters, if you will. Now, I'm going to go ahead and dark this camera and be right back. And I'll be right back.
Oh, can I talk?
Self-unconscious.
Wait. Hi. So I wanted to add on to that because unlike my dad, I am objectively out of the two of us. I am the much bigger movie and TV watcher. Like he'll tell you, I sit down and watch the Oscars and Emmys, Golden Globes, all of it, whatever. And so to my dad's point, what I always find really funny is the shock and awe that Hollywood has when shows like, let's take from past years, Shogun. Shogun won what I believe is 23 Emmys at 23 Emmys this past year. It is a show entirely based on feudal Japan. 0 white characters, entirely Japanese cast. They are entirely rooted in Japanese stories with Japanese actors and that culture at the forefront. And everyone was totally shocked when that movie succeeded. Or it wasn't a movie, sorry, it was a show. When that show did insanely well. I think they won like best supporting actor, best supporting actress. They like a complete sweep. And it was a show that like everyone was like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? This is actually like really good. And it's like, well, yeah, that's what happens when you start telling unique stories. My personal favorite show that's currently out right now is The Bear. And if you've watched it, that show is insane. But it capitalizes on such a unique market of a workplace show, taking both drama and comedic aspects of it, and shows what happens when you take something that people want. We're in currently a deficit for workplace shows. That's why you're seeing a lot more of those coming out right now. And capitalizing on that market and turning it into something new, something interesting. That's why everyone loves Abbott Elementary so much, because once again, it's taking something familiar, the mockumentary style of sitcom TV that became really popular in the early 2000s, turning it into something new, focusing it on the education system in inner city schools. Okay, and adding a comedy aspect of it that makes it so much more interesting. What I always find funny is how Hollywood and everyone is so shocked that people actually want something new. They don't really want this like revamp or Gladiator 2 or insert like 67th Marvel movie to come out this year. Those always seem to flop and they're always so confused. And then they're always so shocked why these new ideas, these new fresh ideas are so well beloved and instantly become favorites by the general population. It's like, guys, it's just listen to what we're asking for. Like, take a new idea. That's what Abbott Elementary did. They saw that shows like Modern Family were ending, that mockumentary style of TV was ending, and there was a gap in that demand. And then they replaced it, not with the same sitcom style show, with something completely new. And it was interesting, and people like it. And that's why it wins a bunch of awards. Oh, I was told to kill the camera.
Somebody says your show now. Get out of here. No way. No way. I'm back. I'm back. All right. Not bad. What are you doing? What's wrong with you?
Let me talk about Wicked.
No, we're not talking about Wicked. I want you to talk
Go
about.
see Wicked. It comes out on Friday. Watch
No.
that instead of Gladiator.
No. Go. Goodbye.
Oh, yeah. Stuff that doesn't overwrite They don't treat their audiences like they're stupid. That's why I could talk about this forever.
Then you'll be ranting in your office. You'll be ranting in your office.
why he
Talking
likes
to
this so
yourself.
I
Oh,
kind of see why he likes this.
now. You want me to send you the link? You can go. Yeah, because your room isn't clean. So shots fired. Shots fired.
I was supposed to go see it. I was supposed to go see Wicked, and I think I'm gonna go watch it this weekend. And that's another example. Movie musicals are like, hey, I'm not saying everyone and their mom loves movie musicals. Now, me and my mom love movie musicals, but my dad here doesn't. But I personally, Wicked is one of my favorite musicals. That's like revamping something, but it's revamping something people want to see, and you're still putting it into a new market. Like Wicked is a Broadway show, and it's not taking a pro shot of it. It's not taking that and releasing it in theaters. No, they took the time to write out the story, add more depth to the story, pick good people to perform, and they're going to put out a movie that shows this amazing story on the silver screen. And they have an insane marketing budget. They pick talented people.
Goodbye, child. Okay. We'll let you do. Okay. Depending, maybe we'll have you come on and do a review of the movie.
Oh, Wicked?
I might hate myself for saying that. All right. Toodles, love bug. Shut the door. Goodbye. Why is she back, y'all? Why is she back? Oh my gosh. Do y'all hear her? Willy Wonka and they love, oh my gosh, they love musicals, man. They love, and look, I'll go to a play with them in a heartbeat, but I have to go to a play that none of them have seen, because let me tell you, going to a play with Taylor is miserable. She did a video. Let me find it. Let me find the video, because it's hilarious, because going watch a movie with Taylor is miserable. Oh my gosh, you've never been in such misery in your life. And I'm gonna explain why. Let me find the video real quick. Because she I find it. Oh, I can't find it. Where is it? Anyway, we did a short talking about it, because one day she was in my office and we were talking about it and how she let's just say she likes to talk. And she will literally talk through the entire movie. And she's brought her friends over to watch movies that she really likes. Oh my gosh, it's miserable for them, especially if they've never seen it before. Oh, she ruins the whole thing. She'll just talk and talk. I did a short of her. One day we were in our office talking about it. And I just turned the camera on and recorded her. I don't remember where it is though. And I'll have to find it. But anyway, it's a mess, because she literally will talk through the entire movie. So I said, hey, I'll go to a play with y'all, because I'm cultured. I like a little bit of art every now and then. But the thing is, like, it has to be something that they've never seen before. I can't go to something that they've seen before. So I have to try to find these obscure, third tier movies, or plays rather, because if you go to something that Taylor's seen, it's a wrap. And because once she knows about it, she's going to want to do some research on it and find out what it's about and this, that, and other, which is cool. I think that's great. But she will talk through the whole movie. You'll be like, or the whole play, you'll be like, come on, kid, stop. All right, I'll find it. Anyway, I'm just kind of scrolling through. I don't see it. Oh, you don't, but my child will talk you. Look, she makes up for everybody that doesn't talk. She talks. It's terrible. It's terrible. We went to see what was it? She was really into the Hunger Games. She really wanted to see the most recent Hunger Game movie. And so she went, I'm not even being funny. I think Taylor saw the Hunger Games 4 times at the movies, and then talked my wife into buying the DVD. That's how much she watched it. But the problem is, she was getting her friends from church and school to come and watch it. So she was like an evangelist for the movie. And every last one of them, when we went and picked them up, she said, She was like, they were like, it was good, but Taylor really, really had a lot to say about it. Like, Taylor, you talked through the whole movie. She's like, well, I just wanted to make sure they saw this. I want to make sure they pay attention. Like, Taylor, they have good eyes. They could see. Like, you don't need to tell them to watch this part. So anyway, that's Taylor. That's my girl. I love her though. President, Chief Executive, second born. That's my girl. I love her. So shout out to Trina. Shout out to Taylor. All right, what we got here? Oh no, she retains details because they watch it so much, man. They are spoiler veterans. Yeah, that's right. They are definitely, yeah. They come with a spoiler alert. That's it. They come with a spoiler alert, like a little banner around them, a little neck tag, like, hey, spoiler alert ahead. You cannot watch a movie with Taylor. Oh my gosh. If she likes it, oh, it's gonna be a wrap. It's a wrap. Now, granted, like I love It's a Wonderful Life, right? So I watched that probably 100 times, and it's my Christmas movie. So I'm waiting for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna watch it Thanksgiving night. But I got like 3 copies of it. I got like an emergency copy of it, but I don't talk during the movie. I don't talk, even though I know all the dialogue and I could probably quote it. I just don't do that. But that's my girl. Anyway, that's my baby. Oh, Taylor will absolutely. Don't worry about it. You don't have to spoil it. Taylor will do it for you. Don't even worry about it. Forget about it. She's gonna spoil it for you. All right. Before we spoil anything else, I want to say thank y'all to everybody who's tapped in with me tonight. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. I do want to look at one more thing, and then we can just kind of chop it up or whatnot like that. Get it ready for the week. Most of you all have heard about this whole situation going on with Kamala Harris and her presidential campaign being broke, right? 20 million in the hole. Well, not only are they 20 million in the hole, but there's a lot of people that ain't been paid. So I want to bring this in. I thought it was very, very interesting. Shout out to Pink Book Lessons. Yeah, it's related to the billion for sure. Like $1 billion. That is crazy. I don't know. Isn't this the first campaign that's ever generated that much money? I can't believe that it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. But okay, now there's something about this that I want to bring out as well. Yeah, Pink Book Lessons is fantastic. Shout out to them, and definitely go, and I'll drop the link to this video, so go definitely check them out and give her a view and whatnot. Something about this, they're doing an interview with a young lady, that the whistleblower that is calling out the fact that the Kamala Harris campaign did not pay their vendors. She also talks about how a lot of the staffers didn't get paid and such like that. But she brings up something else I think is very interesting. She talks about the fact that the poll numbers were inflated to bring about, to generate more income, if you will. I had never heard this before. This is something different. So let me bring this in, and I want y'all to check it out. Shout out to Pink Book Lesson in the Pink Book. Let's bring it that way. Let's make this right size. Let's go.
So earlier I spoke with Lindy Lee. She's on the DNC Finance Committee. She's based here in Philadelphia. She's raised millions for Biden and for Harris. She says, look, this wasn't just a loss. This was a shellacking. The DNC is in serious chaos right now. Expect some departures. She said some staffers on the Harris campaign that she's spoken to haven't been paid. She called this whole thing a $1 billion boondoggle.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
No way these people raised over $1 billion and you have some staffers who didn't get their last paycheck.
And Lindy, I know that you're worried about staffers and people who need the money, unlike the celebrities who haven't been paid yet. So
we're talking about regular everyday people with bills to pay. They didn't get their checks, but Al Sharpton got his. Oprah got hers. Beyonce, Meg Thee Stallion, Glorilla, Lizzo, Eminem, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, they got theirs. This is crazy. You have a DNC Finance Committee member who went out and gathered millions and millions from her donors. They're now upset and said they were bamboozled. They were lied to about the real numbers. You have a lot of donors hiding behind Lindy Lee right now, and they're blaming upper-level DNC management for telling them they will win the swing states in states like Iowa based on their polling, only to find out those polls were all lying. These big-time staffers knew it, and the donors are now blaming management, accusing them of knowing the information they gave them to continue squeezing money out of them was false and nowhere near the truth. We're going to get into it, but first, take a second to make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for all updates. Won't waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
And some people are just saying, oh, America's misogynistic and sexist. You know, obviously there's some of that, but we can't just blame the entire country and label them as, you know, racist. That's not going to get us anywhere. But the way that the campaign was run and the way that the finances were handled were just, it left much to be desired. And still, we're 1 week from the election. No, our top donors have not gotten any sort of briefing or an apology or any sort of explanation as to where our money went.
No apology?
I mean, no one has gotten anything. We haven't gotten any sort of follow-up other than her concession speech.
Have you heard of issues, vendors being paid, not paid, anything like that?
Yeah, I've gotten calls from former staffers who have not gotten paid, and they asked me for help. Including people here in Pennsylvania. And this is for work done in August. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah,
But so we're $20 million in debt. Someone has to pay that off.
As Republicans lay out their agenda for a second Trump term, Democrats are still scratching their heads over the loss. And now this, the Harris campaign is $20 million in debt, having spent about $1 billion during the 90-day campaign. DNC Finance Committee member Lindy Lee calling the campaign a $1 billion disaster.
Okay, stop for a second. $1 billion spent in 3 months. That's nasty work. That's $300,000 spent a month. That's crazy. That's crazy. And if you go with the 1.2 billion, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's insane. 1.02. Yeah, 1.02 billion. That's a lot of money spent. Where did that money go? Where did it go?
And I asked her about the reckoning going on now within the party and why she's deciding to speak out.
I feel as though I'm one of the only voices speaking out. And if we do not confront the lessons of election night, it's going to happen over and over again. We're going to keep losing. If we don't recognize a rightward shift of America, we are also going to lose. We have to have a careful financial accounting of what exactly happened. How did we possibly blow through $1 billion in just 3 months? It's just astounding, not just to me, but to many of my fellow donors. I've been speaking with them on an hourly basis. People are just completely shocked and just craving answers. A lot of them are sending me messages of support, asking me to stay the course and to keep asking. And we just haven't really gotten any explanation from the campaign as to what happened. And I say this, it pains me to say this. This is very hard for me to say because these are my friends. These are my, and these are people that I've worked with for a long time. But if we don't have any accountability, how could we possibly move forward in an effective way, not only to serve this party, but serve our country?
I feel your emotion, and I think it represents a lot of people in the country who woke up on Wednesday morning and who were shocked by the results, certainly given how close it seemed in the polls. Lindy, you say you were promised Harris would win and that you believed it. Now you say you think you were misled. How so?
I think I was trying to say the same thing. We were just misled. We were told decisively. And again, contributing to a campaign does not guarantee an outcome. That was not our assumption at all. But they told us 100% that we were going to win. We didn't demand this process. There was no demand of that process. They willingly gave that reassurance. And even on election night, I had someone high up whom I just found out yesterday is leaving. He told me that we were going to win Iowa. This is ruby red Iowa. And I looked at him very quizzically and I said, "Are you sure?" And he just smirked.
Sounds like she's talking about Jamie Harrison. He knew that lady wasn't going to win Iowa, but they ran with the fake information from the compromise poster in order to get headlines and make people believe that she really had a chance. Not only did they lie to their donors and staff, but they lied to the American people. Something they did over the whole 100 days, by the way.
And so, this is just an example of the hubris in the final days of the campaign. And it's just, I wonder what happened to all that money. I'm looking through the financial reports. You know, $1 million went to Harper Productions. That's Oprah. She's saying that she didn't personally benefit, but her company did. And then millions went to various celebrity concerts. $100,000 apparently went to build the set of Call Her Daddy. I contributed and I fundraised for this campaign because I believed in Vice President Harris's vision of America. And by the way, I just want to say that I'm not blaming her at all. I think she's phenomenal. I truly do. And she's worked tirelessly. I'm talking about the way that her campaign was handled.
And although Oprah says she wasn't paid a cent by Harris, the campaign did pay her company $1 million to produce Oprah's star-studded town hall. Well, isn't that paying? And the Harris team reportedly spent 6 figures to build that set I told you about on that Call Her Daddy podcast, you know, which I got her hundreds of thousands of views, but I mean, I don't know that it was cost effective. And then you got Eminem, then you got Beyonce. So let's talk to somebody who lived it, okay? And is speaking out now with her own concerns. Lindy Lee, what are you doing? Talking about what happened in the campaign and absolutely putting a target on your head, let alone your back. Why would you do this?
If we don't confront reality, if we don't address these very serious issues, we're going to keep losing. And I really like what you've said, you know, earlier in the segment. If we don't recognize that America is shifting rightward, we are going to keep losing. If we don't have a financial accountability and some sort of very serious accounting of how exactly we spent $1 billion in 2 to 3 months, how are donors and even everyday Americans who gave their $10 and $25 ever going to trust the Democratic Party again? We need a serious postmortem to show that we're learning the lessons, that we are exposing everything that went wrong, and that we are going to do better in the future. We can't just throw everything under the rug and assume that daddy's going to fill the piggy bank again.
What do you think of these allegations of what Oprah, I mean, either they paid the production company or they didn't. I've never heard of people getting paid for endorsements. Paid to perform, maybe, but usually they give it. But do you believe it?
It's not a matter of believing, it's literally in the report. And she can deny it however much she wants to, but it says Harper Productions on the FEC report. I really don't know how you get around that. It's her company, and she may not have gotten paid personally as a person, but it paid her company. So I think this is a matter of semantics. She got paid. And it's just, if my donors had known beforehand that the money would be dispersed this way, I do not think they would have given. You know, it's a sacred trust. These people, a lot of my donors have worked hard all their lives. And again, these are everyday Americans around the country. I didn't just deal with big donors. I also fundraised from grassroots donors who gave $25, as I mentioned. I did something called Geeks and Nerds for Harris. People are giving like $10 to $15. These are people, you know, some people are living paycheck to paycheck. So it's a sacred trust for them to give money to a campaign. It is our utmost responsibility to use that money in a responsible manner and to not treat it as OPM, which is other people's money. If we can't handle campaign money the right way, how can taxpayers, how can Americans possibly trust us that we would handle taxpayer money the right way?
Did you think you were going to lose?
This is a very hard question. Very hard. So we were told 100% that we were going to win.
Wow.
Up until I think 9 to 10 p.m. on election night, which is stunning. I had a DNC official telling me on the night of that we were going to win ruby red Iowa. And I was just looking, I just was wondering if he thought I was stupid. He said it in earnest. I also found out the guy's being pushed out, the same guy who said that to me. Actually, I think the entire DNC leadership is going to change in the next couple of months. There's going to be hell to pay. This is not a 2016 loss. This is a shellacking. This is not a squeaker race. This is a resounding defeat. it pains me to say that. As you said, I put a target on my back. Actually, you'd be surprised that I have dozens of donors blowing up my phone telling me to stay the course. They may not have the guts to say it or the platform, but they want me to keep going because it's their money too.
All right, so Lindsay Lee, she spilled a lot. That's a DNC Finance Committee member. She said some people who worked on the campaign didn't get their last check. Lee also said vendors are contacting her about payments they haven't received, dating back as far as August. But don't worry, they paid all the rich celebrities, but they still have some staffers and vendors waiting on their money. Lindsay Lee said Oprah is telling a lie about not getting any money. She's playing word games. The check was addressed to Oprah's company. So Oprah running the TMZ and the Shade Room to have a bunch of baby bot bimbo babblers defending her, saying their auntie Oprah is so rich, she didn't need $1 million. She wouldn't take $1 million. Well, she took the $1 million. For all those people defending this billionaire, go ask her why her company needed $1 million to put together a live stream. Listen, Oprah is a big liar, and none of these fake, phony celebrities can be trusted, obviously. Yeah, you still have a lot of people under their spell. They're being given a bottle and rocked to sleep every day by the old dead media and even the bought and paid for sources like TMZ and the Shade Room. But as a whole, you have a lot of people waking up. This is why a platform like the Shade Room with 30 million people following it still couldn't influence an election. But yeah, these folks are in serious debt now after spending millions and millions on these pep rallies with these useless celebrities. Let me ask you, should these celebrities give back some of their money to help cover the debt? Go ahead and check out my next video on the screen about how folks like Meg Thee Stallion got $5 million to pop her thought pocket on stage at a campaign rally. Yeah, $5 million. Go ahead and click the link on the screen right now to see that video.
All right. So shout out. Thank you so much to Pink Book Lesson. I appreciate the work that she puts in. Fantastic. Excellent work. Excellent work. Yes. What do y'all think about that, man? What do y'all think? Oprah's a different kind of scammer. Yeah, this is wild. Yeah, I agree with you, Ed. Thank you so much for that. He says, yeah, no donations to Democrats are going to keep people from seeing how expensive a trip to the grocery store is. I agree 100%. Wow. $5 million for 2 minutes of twerk. Man, that's some stuff right there, ain't it? Ain't that wild? Ain't that crazy? That's crazy, man. That is amazing. What's going on? Informed Takes. The DNC was scamming the true believers. Absolutely. Matter of fact, shout out to the Informed Takes, which is a fantastic podcast. Let me real quick. Can you please make sure that you drop your link in the chat? Informed Takes, because we want to be informed. We want to be informed. There you go. You got the power now. Please let us be informed, brother. Drop your link in the chat so the moderators can have it and make sure we give you a shout out for sure. You all do great political commentary as well over there. Beyonce allegedly got 55 million per second, 55,000 per second. Yo, that's craziness. That's it right there. I mean, and I'm just wondering, is Kamala Harris going to say anything? Is she going to come out and address anything? Is she going to say anything? Is she going to, or is she just going to go quietly into that good night? Like, what's going to happen? Because I think most people, kind of like she did on election night, she went radio silent and came back the next day, really kicking and screaming against her better judgment. I wonder what she's going to do. So let me. Yeah, 55,000. Yeah, I see it. No, she will not. She will absolutely not. I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree with you. But thank you so much, Q. Informed Takes. There you go. Y'all go check out what them brothers are doing over there. That's Mr. Briggins and Mr. Smith over there. Shout out to them. I don't think she ever wanted the job. I agree with you. I don't think she did. I don't think she did. I know that sounds weird, but I don't think she did. Hey, what's going on, Gemini Rising? Grace and peace to you. Good to see you. All right, everybody, real quick. I told y'all If you just came in just a moment ago, we had President Firstborn stop by to talk about movies and all that kind of stuff. I did a little mini rant about Hollywood being outright racist, but I told y'all that Chief Executive Secondborn, she's the worst person to go to movies with because she just talks through the whole movie. So I want to let her tell you that she talks through the whole movie. So here she goes. So I'm sitting here with my second born luminary.
Hello.
And we're watching the premiere of my video talking about why white people should not go see Wakanda Forever. And we were talking about Black people enjoying movies in peace. And I said, clearly you've never been to a movie with Black people because we don't watch movies quietly. And the second born luminary said,
Okay, so the reason why we can't watch it in peace is because the crock pot is out there. We got the Tupperware with the leftovers from Thanksgiving dinner. We got the grill going in the back. And we are not quiet. And I am part of the problem. I understand this. I'm not going to change, but I know this.
Wait, no, mean by you are part of the problem. Tell us about
I
that.
talk during every movie that I've ever watched.
That was the gospel truth right there, girl. You ain't never told the truth more than you told that truth right there. The only other truth you told is that Jesus is Lord. There she is, President, Chief Executive Secondborn, being herself, Chief Executive Secondborn. She loves talking, man. That girl will talk your ears off. She'll talk your whole face off, man. Put it back on your face and then just keep talking. That's my girl. But yeah, she loves to talk during movies. So if you go to a movie with her, just know what you're getting into. You already know what you're getting into. Just accept it, roll with it. You just know how it's going to go. That's how it is. So y'all, I want to thank you so much for tapping in with us. Real quick. I want to say thank you to everybody who's given me feedback, whether it be on the members only Discord or just in the comment section. Thank you so much for all of that. A lot of you all have given me ideas. Shout out to Marshall the Plug. Shout out to Donna Holloman and all the others that are giving me ideas on content and videos. Hey, this is a good one, whatever like that. Thank you so much for sending that to me. You can email me always, dearwokec@gmail.com. If I can use it, I will do my very best. If I can't, I will still let you know that I saw it and such like that. So I want to say thank you so much for that. I have hit 100 people have gone to dearwokechristian.com and signed up for the newsletter that I'll be dropping in January. I'm working on my newsletter because I'm trying to make it something fun that you actually enjoy. And here is the link right there. So thank you all. I got 100 of y'all already. If you want to, please go to dearwokechristian.com. At the very bottom of the page, just drop your email in there. I promise I'm not going to spam you and whatnot like that. But I do want to make sure we have other means of staying in contact with you all. Just as, life happens and things happen here on these YouTube streets at the current moment. They're definitely in favor of the chin crown, but anything could happen tomorrow. So I just want to say, if you want to come by, drop your email right there so we have another way of communicating with you. So thank you all so much to all of the new members as well as subscribers. I'm tapping on 30,000 subscribers, which is crazy. I never would have thought that I would get there, but we're right there on the cusp of it. So if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. But if you have already, you're already a subscriber, make sure you hit the like button. Either way, I really do appreciate it. Let's YouTube know that you like this type of content and you like this social and political commentary and a little bit of shenanigans every now and then from a Christian male perspective. So I really do appreciate it. And thank you all for that. I really do. And I want to say that we have tapped 350 members on the channel. I cannot actually understand how that has happened, but I'm so appreciative. It means a lot that you all find value in what I'm doing, that you like this so much that you want to become members. And I really appreciate it. So thank you all to all of you all. I do want to say shout out to N-Dog, who is a constant gang affiliation jumper inner. She done jumped in so many gang members, it'll make no sense. So shout out to N-Dog for sure, for being definitely a great support of the channel. I do want to put this out there to all of you all. This is not just to the members, but to everybody. I'm going to put up a community post probably in the morning. What kind of year-end review, the end of the year review, would you like me to do? So just kind of think about it. The community post will be coming up soon, but what kind of end of the year review would you like? top 10 best in different categories, award show. Like, what would you like? I'm going to put it up there shortly. So just kind of think about it, marinate on it. Think about what kind of end of the year. So we'll be doing something like that in January, just something fun to look at this year, 2024, in review. Like, what would you find value in? Top 10, best of, maybe some categories. If you got category ideas, that would be hilarious. So, let me know. I think that would be a great way to end the year, to start the new year, because, man, 2024 has been wild. I had no idea. Nobody had that in their bingo board. Oh, mercy. What have I done wrong? What art thou? What do you need, my left-handed Avenger? What do you need? What is she writing? Why is she writing a note? What are you doing? Good night, my love bug. You could have just text me, right? Or you could have just come in and said good night.
Good night.
Bye, baby.
Bye-bye.
I love you. You got gas and stuff for school tomorrow?
Yeah, I have gas, and I'm staying late, and I have a call with Mr. Lynn.
Okay, sounds dope. I'll see you in the morning.
Bye, Ducky.
Bye, baby. That's my girl. Anyway, I want to say thank you all so much. Looks like we had some great conversation. Q is going, what is this? Night, y'all. Just got to get up for your black job. Absolutely, man. We got to get up for our job. Our color jobs are going on. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, the original Miracle on 34th Street. I like black and white movies. I got a little soft spot for black and white movies. I don't watch them all the time, but like I said, usually on on Thanksgiving Day, I usually watch It's a Wonderful Life, and probably 2 or 3 times during the Thanksgiving to Christmas spread, that whole month. I'll probably watch it 3 times. So I love It's a Wonderful Life. That's a great movie. Yeah, that's my girl. She's trying to be sweet today. We gotta get up and do the black job tomorrow. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Okay. Ed, you're gonna have to, I'm gonna put the community post up when I get done. Ed, you're supposed to marinate on that, man. You're supposed to marinate on it. I love it. Great stuff. So let's do this, my good people. Tomorrow is Monday. I will be coming back on tomorrow evening to do a recap of YSL. I will get all of the YSL shenanigans in. I just had some other shenanigans as it relates to the election and such like that, because there's just been so much going on. So tomorrow will be dedicated. Tomorrow's recap will be over YSL, catching up on what happened this week, as well as, and we'll talk a little bit about Vivarito and all that kind of good jazz, and then what happens on tomorrow, because I think, I don't believe that the state's going to rest. But soon enough, eventually, one day, sometime in the future, the state's going to rest and the defense is going to take the ball. And that's going to be some wild stuff. So we'll be talking about it for sure. Burrito. Vivarito was like burrito. Absolutely. But y'all, thank you again, every last one of you, for checking out the merchandise store, for tapping in here and becoming a member of the channel, subscribing, making sure you like, share, and comment, all that kind of jazz like that. It just helps out a whole lot. And I want to say thank you. I really do appreciate it. So, and we'll just end on this. Thank you, N-Dog. Love you, DWC, and the best live chat on the planet. This is the best live chat on the planet. And you know what? I think a great way to end tonight will be to confirm that this is the best live chat on the internet. I think that'd be a good way to do it. How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much. See you real soon. Grace and peace.
I wanna go where my screaming is in highlights and people say hi. When I come into the room, I wanna be where the conversation is interesting. And I wanna have family there, like president, firstborn, and chief executive, second born, and a granny. She's cool. Yeah, I want a Grammy party for sure. feel some kind of way. You know, like where everybody knows my street name. And if I could ever find something like that, it would be the best. Chat room on the internet, a chat room that you know has stuff to talk about, stuff I know how to talk about, where people get me and I get celebrate. You know where you celebrate. I like it when the moms are on their job and put those links in the chat. Yeah, that's nice. You think this place exists, man? I know a guy. You think this place exists, man? I know a dear old Christian. Look at my band, he'll hook you up. Man, if I could ever find something like that, it would be the best. Chat room on the internet, a chat room that you know has stuff to talk about, stuff I know how to talk about, where people get me and I get celebrate. You know where you celebrate. Thank you, oh thank you, dear old Christian, for giving